This program is brought to you by the Genesis Communications Network, a world leader in talk radio since 1998. Visit GCNlive.com today.
Broadcasting live from the Valley of the Sun, Phoenix, Arizona, in the heart of the great American Southwest, it's Erskine Overnight. Now, here's Erskine.
Steve Stolar, written professionally for 25 years for Dick Cavett and many TV shows. You've seen them. Simon & Simon, Murder, She Wrote, the new WKRP in Cincinnati, Sliders, which I really like, plus documentaries from Ship Howard to Elvis and Dr. Martin Luther King. You don't get much more diverse than that. He also has an 11 and a half hour audiobook of his bestseller, Raised Eyebrows, My Years Inside Groucho Marx's House. Now, when you're looking and reading Raised Eyebrows or you're getting the audiobook, this is an amazing book. And it's going to be released in a film directed by Rob Zombie, who does all the horror films. I think there's a certain irony about that. I think Groucho would certainly appreciate that. It's an inside look at Groucho Marx's final years. And Steve, this was an incredible book, but we're going to set the Wayback Machine. And on the audiobook, you do all the voices in the audiobook, which is amazing. I listened to an interview you did. Your voices are absolutely outstanding. Well, you did things like the Oz Kids, Frosty Returns, Snoopy's Reunion. You're good on voices, man.
Thank you.
Now, you started out back in the Wayback Machine, UCLA Film School, and you wanted to get Animal Crackers re-released. It came out in the 1930s, and there was a lot of confusion. It bounced around from studio to studio, and you were able to get a petition, get everything done to where it was finally released. So this was something that made Groucho proud. He went to UCLA. You got to sit next to him. That was a proud moment for you. How'd you go from sitting next to Groucho to being his virtual everything, going over his memorabilia? For a 19-year-old kid, it had to be like, bang, I'm in the center of Nirvana.
Oh, yeah. It was like being picked up with a giant pair of forceps and dropped into Oz. All I ever wanted to do was shake his hand and thank him for all the laughs. And instead, I ended up going to work for him initially 7 days a week as his personal secretary and archivist.
Now, what did he pay you for that at start? What did he tell you about that at the very start? It's cool.
Oh, yeah. Well, let me see if I can. I have to kick the Wayback Machine again to go back to first meeting him.
Let's go back, Sherman, with it. Here we go. We're all the way back to 74, right.
When I finally shook hands with him, I said, Groucho, I'm very happy to be meeting you after all this time. And he said, well, you should be. And then Erin Fleming, who was the controversial woman who was his manager and also basically in charge of his life at that time, said, this is Steve Stoliar. He's trying to get Animal Crackers re-released. And Groucho said, did you get it? And I said, not yet, but we're working on it. And he said, you better or I'll fire you. And I said, I didn't realize I was working for you. How much are you paying me? And he said, a little less than nothing.
And you thought you would be working in some office, maybe answering correspondence for him, that type of thing.
Yeah.
No, they put you right in the house, didn't they?
Well, I mean, it just kept getting better because we talked to the news crews who followed us to UCLA and explained about the fact that this movie hadn't been seen in years and it deserved to be out, and Universal relented and struck new prints of the film, and it broke the box office record at the UA Westwood, which had been set by the French Connection. So that was very gratifying because they didn't think there was any kind of audience for an old black and white movie. And I was
without
rewarded.
Without a chase scene, right?
No, and no nudity or anything. I luckily had 3 summer jobs fall through in '74. I remain grateful to the people who screwed me over by saying, "Oh no, I think that'll work out," and then not returning my call. So with my back against the wall, I called Erin Fleming and I said, Is there anything at all that you think maybe I might, that there could? And she said, well, actually, I used to be Groucho's secretary, but I'm too busy for that now. We need someone to handle all of the fan mail that pours in, and we need someone who knows a lot about the Marx Brothers to organize all of Groucho's memorabilia, which will be donated to the Smithsonian after he died. And in my mind's eye, it was like a Tex Avery cartoon where I showed up on the doorstep while she was still talking on the phone. It was like, holy. And I did think initially that I would probably be working in some office building, and maybe Groucho would come in now and again to sign checks or something. She said, oh, no, dear, you'll have your own room at the house, and you can make your own hours. And I thought, how did I luck into this?
And then, not only that, but you met Zeppo, you met Gummo, you met Mae West, George Burns, Bob Hope, Jack Lemmon, S.J. Perlman, Steve Allen. A number of people were there at the house, and you're 19 years old with all these luminaries coming to see Groucho.
Right, and what was really cool for me was, I don't know if you've had the experience where when you're younger you meet someone and you weren't quite sure who they were, and then when you're older you think, oh, I wish I'd known more about them so I could have appreciated that experience. But for me, because I was such a Groucho and Marx Brothers fanatic, I knew who all of these people were, certainly the ones in front of the camera, but the ones who were his writers and directors and sort of literary pals, I knew who they were because I'd read the Groucho letters, and I'd kind of just naturally studied up on all those people. So when they'd come through the door, my mind would be like a mental Rolodex and just kind of pull the card out. Oh, okay, Irving Brecker. He wrote At the Circus and Go West and worked on Meet Me in St. Louis. And
he didn't really care about the stars. He cared more about the writers. He always wanted to be a writer, didn't he?
Yeah, and he did write some books, and he always had an affinity for writers. Even when he was at MGM in the 30s, he didn't like to sit with Clark Gable and Joan Crawford and Robert Taylor and all those people. He preferred to sit at the writers' table because he found them much more stimulating and interesting, and he thrived on intelligent conversation, and he felt that, generally speaking, actors were sort of self-involved and a little on the shallow side, and he liked... That's
why he liked you. That's why he liked S.J. Perlman. That's why he liked Steve Allen. Why he liked Mae West and a number of those people, because they wrote a lot of their own stuff.
Yeah, it's true. It wasn't... You know, he was not the sort of person to be starstruck, since he was a star in his own right and had always been friends with people that now are considered part of the pantheon. But really what mattered was, what kind of a person were they? Were they fair? Were they trustworthy? Were they funny? Were they interesting? He respected people even if they had views that were opposed to him politically. I mean, one of his best-known writers was Maury Riskind, who co-wrote Coconuts, Animal Crackers, and A Night at the Opera. And then later in life, he became a very respected, very conservative columnist for the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner. But they remained very good friends, and they just steered clear of politics. He was always welcome at the house.
Art transcends politics. It really does.
Yeah.
It's a universal language that everyone can enjoy.
And for Groucho, their friendship transcended politics. He wasn't going to say...
Beautiful. We need to take a break. We'll be right back.
We'll be launching those missiles in about 2 minutes, so don't you go away.
Springtime is save big time at Herbal Healer Academy. Long-term customers know spring is the time to stock up at herbalhealer.com. And for new customers, welcome to the web's best place to save on vitamins, minerals, and more. Log on for spring specials, including our 500 parts per million colloidal silver, all sizes on sale. Choose from Herbal Healer's great variety of weight loss products like apple cider vinegar, Hoodia and Metabolic Complex, and Pro Metabolic, all on sale now. Also, the Anti-Parasite Intestinal Freedom and Warwood Plus Complex, plus Stevia Liquid Sweetener and the Super Enzymes, all on sale for spring at herbalhealer.com. As always, we offer certificate correspondence courses in natural medicine. Enjoy same-day shipping and free online newsletter. Log on now to herbalhealer.com and click on Spring Specials to save big with our nation's leader in supplying quality natural medicine and education since 1988, Herbal Healer Academy.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pulaski of the Pulaski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states. Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-340-5528. That's 800-340-5528. Again, 800-340-5528.
Water is the single most important thing your body needs, so you want to be sure it's the best for you and your family. Since 2005, thousands have depended on Berkey purified water. The Berkey Guy provides the lowest priced filtration systems in every size for incredibly delicious water now and in an emergency. Get to GoBerkey.com or call 877-886-3653. 877-886-3653. GoBerkey.com.
Hello?
Congratulations.
For what?
For losing all that weight. How'd you do it so fast?
ASAP.
ASAP what? What's that mean?
Are you ready to get as skinny as possible, as soon as possible, as simple as possible, and as sexy as possible?
I'm listening.
Then get with the ASAP program. It's real and it works. No smooth talk, no slick advertising, and no exaggerated claims of success.
I've got to know more.
Welcome to ASAP, as slim as possible. Whether you have 10, 20, or 50 pounds to lose, ASAP is your weight loss answer. ASAP targets the abnormal fat reserves and makes them available to be burned as fuel and contains no caffeine or hormones. Order ASAP at wholesale prices or join the team to share the business with others. Go to GCNteam.com or call 855-GCN-MALL. That's 855-426-6255. GCNteam.com or 855-426-6255. Lose weight and look great with ASAP, as slim as possible.
Here at the retirement home, we always listen to Erskine Overnight. It's all we got to listen to.
Steve's website is stevestolar.com. You can get to it by going to erskineovernight.com. It's hyperlinked up there. Get a copy of Raised Eyebrows. You will laugh yourself silly. It has a lot of poignant things in there because about 3 or 4 months after you went to work for Groucho, he had the audacity to come down and have a stroke. That was just terrible. So you were there at the very end, and you got to see a lot of things. He had that stroke. He lived about 3 years beyond that.
Right.
But it was he was lying there in bed. You went up and saw him. He was lying there. And what did he say about an ambulance?
Well, I had just gotten used to working there, assuming I ever really got used to working there, I never took any of it for granted. And whenever the tour buses would stop by outside, I always knew what it was like for them to be out in front looking in, and never took it for granted. But yeah, I showed up and was in a particularly good mood, and then the maid said, "Please be quiet, Mr. Marx has had a stroke." And I thought, oh, God, no, my coach is going to turn back into a pumpkin. It's all over before it's barely started. And I went back to his bedroom, assuming he would be lying helpless and unable to move or speak, and instead he was propped up in bed with his in his pajamas and mucklucks reading the L.A. Times. And he said, "Is the ambulance here yet?" I said, "No, that figures." And went back to reading the paper, and I thought, well, if he's taking this in stride, maybe this isn't the end that I thought it was. And in fact, he did bounce back from that. That was a minor stroke. He had had a number of strokes in his later years that did take their toll, but he still remained Groucho underneath the rust,
Couple of the things that he did, a lot of controversy about his wit and repartee, and a lot of people said, well, he wrote out a lot of that. I think he did script a lot of the things, like his television show. I think a lot of that was scripted, but he combined slapstick, but it was beyond slapstick, because the walk that he did, which was almost the same moves that you see Chuck Berry using.
Oh, the duck walk, yeah.
Yeah, it was basically...
Or why a duck walk?
It was basically the same way that Chuck Berry comes out with the guitar. Right. Very, very similar. The moonwalk is almost a takeoff of that. I mean, he has been... What he gave to people as far as comic, just to look at him, it was just absolutely fabulous, wasn't it?
Right. Well, Woody Allen said he really has all the gifts. He looks funny, he sounds funny, he acts funny, and just is a innately funny person. He just had it all.
He just walks out and raises its eyebrows, and it's funny.
Yeah, or the way he would say something sometimes would get a laugh on his show, and he would look at the audience and say, "I didn't mean it like that. Now, you people are laughing. You're the ones with dirty minds," because of the way he would say it.
Right.
In terms of his quiz show, a lot of it was scripted, and as a matter of fact, he had a staff, and after the show ended, they would go try to get other work, and they would say, "Well, what's your previous experience?" And they'd say, "Well, we were writers on You Bet Your Life." And they'd say, "Well, You Bet Your Life didn't have writers. What kind of a credit is that?" But the truth is, but then not to shortchange Groucho, much of what ended up on TV after they edited down each episode was stuff that occurred to him off the cuff, because you can't predict exactly how a contestant is going to answer a question or what they're going to say. So they were interviewed ahead of time by the staff, who then would write down suggested lines for Groucho to say, and then there was like an overhead projector behind the contestant's head where Groucho could look up, and a lot of the stuff he would read, but also a lot of the stuff was just interjected by him, and you can't really say that anyone could have done what he did if you had writers. So, the truth is gray.
And then you never knew when the bird would fly down. You win $100. That was the great one.
The duck. I actually held the duck once.
Oh, really?
Yes, I did. It was the head writer for the show, Bernie Smith, had taken the duck home with him after the show folded, and he lent it to Groucho to use. There was a book called The Secret Word is Groucho that Groucho co-wrote with Hector Arce about the story behind You Bet Your Life. And because Bernie lived in the San Fernando Valley, which is where I was living, he said it was okay if I came by and picked it up and then drove it to Groucho. So I had a friend of mine take a picture of me holding looking him in the eyes with his beak facing me, And it was really cool because it's like, wow, this is the bird, and it matches up with photos from the early 50s that show that's the one that used to drop down. It had been painted and repainted, but it was cool.
Whose idea was the duck?
The idea, let me see. The idea of a secret word was John Goodell's, who was the producer of the show, who also produced Art Linkletter's House Party.
Right.
And he said that on House Party they had a gimmick where they would set a timer, and whenever it would go off, whoever Linkletter was talking to in the audience would win a prize. So it got people to tune in to find out, who's going to be the lucky person when the ding goes off. And he wanted to have something like that on the show where people tune in because you never know when someone's going to win something. So they came up with the secret word, and the duck was Groucho's idea because he always thought ducks were funny looking.
There came duck soup, the whole thing, right?
Yeah, why a duck? But and it just caught on, and say the secret word and divide $100 between you. It's a common word, something you see around the house. And there's a wonderful episode of the Jack Benny Show that's a parody of You Bet Your Life with Groucho as himself and Jack Benny as a contestant. And the secret word is telephone. And Benny ends up saying, well, I can always tell a phony. And he goes, I win. Telephone was the word. No, it wasn't telephony. It was telephone. No, you owe me the $100, Gruff. It's wonderful. It's great. You can see it on YouTube. It's a great, it shows them off to their best advantage, two great comedians.
Of all the people that went through there, were there certain people that Groucho just did not like?
Well, if he didn't really like them, he didn't have them over.
That's good.
But one of the things that impressed me about him was that he, unlike a lot of comedians and a lot of entertainment people who have substantial egos, and he did have a substantial ego, he was very fair about crediting people instead of just stealing a joke. If someone said something funny, he wouldn't just appropriate it and then get the laugh instead of them. He would say, Woody Allen had a funny line about, I said, I don't mind dying, I just don't want to be there when it happens. That's a brilliant line. Or, Robert Benchley said, my health is perfect except for an occasional heart attack. So
I like Pogo Possum. I ain't afraid of death. Of course, I could live without it.
Yeah.
That's another one that I know that Groucho would have liked. We'll be right back. The book's called Raised Eyebrows. Hey, get a copy of it. You're going to love it.
Erskine has gone to see a man about a mule, but he'll be right back.
What would your life be like if you woke up each morning with new vitality, feeling better than you have in years, and you noticed a difference in your sleeping patterns, blood sugar levels, and had a sense of well-being overall? There's something that is changing thousands of people's lives, and you could be one of them. It's called Heart and Body Extract. Sharon Harris, co-creator of Heart and Body Extract, talks about the positive effects of Heart and Body Extract.
What happens with the formula Heart and Body Extract is it's giving the body the necessary vitamins, minerals, amino acids, enzymes, and phytonutrients so the body will heal itself. And yes, the body does have the ability to balance blood pressure, balance cholesterol, clean and unclog the arteries. It can also work on balancing the circulation for diabetics. So the body is an amazing thing. It simply needs some help, so it has the tools to heal itself.
Heart and Body Extract gets results. To order your 2-month supply, call now, toll-free at 866-295-5305. Order online at hbextract.com.
This is a life-changing message for anyone with sleep apnea who is on the go and tired of dragging around a big, bulky home CPAP device. Now there's finally a portable device that's as small as a soda can and weighs less than a pound. You can even add a battery that's as tiny as a deck of cards. It's the Transcend Mini CPAP, and if you're one of the first 100 callers, you can try Transcend risk-free for 10 days. So call now, 1-800-441-0405. Transcend is the world's first portable mini CPAP device. It gives you the freedom to sleep in total comfort anywhere you are. Our smallest and most advanced portable design ever, Transcend is so small and so light, you can fit it in your briefcase or purse to use anywhere you go. It's FAA compliant too, so you can even sleep comfortably while flying. To guarantee your 10-day in-home trial, you must be one of the first 100 callers to call minicpap.com now. 1-800-441-0405. Again, that's 1-800-441-0405.
We all know that Berkey Water Purification Systems are the most trusted name in water filtration. As an authorized Berkey dealer for over 6 years and serving thousands of satisfied customers, the Berkey Guy offers amazing specials for Berkey water filtration systems. The Berkey Light systems include a set of self-sterilizing and recleanable black purification elements that purify water by removing chlorine, pathogenic bacteria, cysts, and parasites to non-detectable levels and remove harmful chemicals such as herbicides and pesticides. Order the Berkey Light system today, complete with 2 black Berkey elements for only $231, and the Berkey Guy will ship your order free of charge. With the purchase of a Berkey Light, the Berkey Guy is also offering a set of fluoride and arsenic filters for only $39.99. That's over 30% off the retail price. Call the Berkey Guy at 1-877-886-3653. That's 1-877-886-3653. Or order online at goberkey.com. That's goberkey.com today.
So why don't you just kick back and let's listen to Erskine Overnight while I puff on my favorite stogie. Hey now, I wouldn't lie to you.
Unfortunately, or fortunately, because it certainly adds to the story, we can't talk about Groucho without talking about Erin Fleming. Erin Fleming was his kind of do-everything person, took control of everything because he had problems with his own children. They didn't want anything to do with him toward the end, did they?
Well, some did and some didn't. But I don't think any of them wanted the responsibility that came with, I mean, a lot of people who have elderly parents or grandparents know that quandary that they're in when the person who raised them requires extra care, and you're faced with, do you put them in a facility or do you have someone stay at the house with nursing experience or something? And Erin came along at a time when Groucho's last wife, Eden, had divorced him, and
that's his third wife, right?
Right. His wives got progressively younger. I think she was about 40 years younger than he was. And he tended to marry them for beauty. It's kind of too bad because he had friends and relatives who had beautiful wives who were also very bright. And I mean, Nunnally Johnson, the writer and producer, married Doris Bowden, who was in Grapes of Wrath, and she was a gracious and bright. Arthur Sheikman, who was one of Groucho's longtime friends and writers, married Gloria Stewart, who was in Titanic, but was also in The Invisible Man many years earlier. And Harpo's
Erin
wife
Fleming was in movies too. She was in
movies too. And they
Tony
never
Randall, wasn't she? What was the name of that movie?
Everything You Wanted to Know About Sex, but were afraid to ask.
And Tony Randall was in the control room of erection, they called it.
Yeah.
I mean, great movie. And then she was supposed to be in Love and Death with Woody Allen's great movie, and she threw a little hissy fit on that one.
Well, she was literally mentally unbalanced, which is a dangerous combination to put someone like that in charge of a increasingly frail elderly man. But as he grew weaker, he grew more dependent on her, and it sort of fed on her ego. It fed her ego.
Do you think she was bipolar?
She was diagnosed as a paranoid schizophrenic and, in fact, was delusional towards the end of her life. She really, I mean, I have compassion for people that have mental problems that are beyond their responsibility, but it doesn't let her off the hook for the harsh way she treated Groucho and a lot of other people.
But that would be one day. The next day she could be absolutely butter would melt.
Things that you think would be completely innocuous and harmless, she would fly into a rage and throw things and slam the door and scream and fire people. And then there'd be something else where you'd think, oh, man, I don't want to be there when Erin hears about this. And she would laugh it off and shrug it off as no big deal. So it was a very volatile situation because you never knew how she was, what kind of a mood she was in or what would set her off. And she was her own worst enemy, alienating business people. But, you know, as I say, she was there for him. You know, one of the points I make in the book that, as Andre Gide said, the color of truth is gray. People have a tendency to want to say, so was she good for him because she was there, or was she bad for him because she was so rough on him? Right. And it's like the answer is yes to both.
Oh, right. Right, but she obviously had some strong mental problems.
Yeah.
She was going to be in Hercules in New York, and she had every opportunity to have been a major star, and she blew it.
Yeah, I don't know how good she was as an actress, but she figured latching onto Groucho's the swallowtails of his coat would lead to greater things, but she just hired and fired. I don't know how I lasted as long as I did.
You probably stayed in your own room away from her going through the materials.
There was no way to avoid her. She was everywhere. She was always lurking, always overseeing everything, always looking through everything. And everything was filtered through her. So you had to put up with her, which is why towards the end, when there was this big fight between Groucho's son, Arthur Marx, and Erin over who should have conservatorship of Groucho towards the very end, I was actually put in charge of the house on weekends and ended up being like this traffic cop coordinating these two warring factions, and each of them had friends that didn't like the other person's friends, so we'd have to schedule, okay, well, he can come visit Groucho at 2, and then you're going to come over at 5 and stay through dinner, so he shouldn't be here. And Erin, of course, hated that and said, and I heard her screaming on the phone, they're treating me like an effing cockroach. Servants have taken over the house. And it was just, there was a lot of sort of Cruella de Vil to her, and she just couldn't handle the fact that this kid who'd been hired to take care of the fan mail was saying, Erin, it's 8 o'clock. I think it's time for you to go. And it's just, oh my God, who are you to tell me that? But it's like, well, the court-appointed conservator told me that I should be enforcing the schedule and with Groucho's best interests at heart.
One of the things that I really have problems with, Groucho taking an Alice Cooper concert. I mean, Groucho was ahead of the curve on everything, wasn't he?
He was. He got a big kick out of Alice Cooper, and he said something like, I think he's going to single-handedly bring back vaudeville. He wasn't really into rock music, because this is a man that, he was born in 1890, and his friends included George Gershwin and Irving Berlin. It was staggering realizing the people that he was friends with. So he wasn't into the rock and roll scene, and tended to be like a lot of older people that just thought of it as a lot of screaming and how come they don't write songs like they do anymore. But he liked Alice personally, and as I say, he thought he was extremely entertaining. And he was also, Groucho was always the one who turned on his peers to some of the then young up-and-coming comedians like Dick Cavett and Woody Allen, because his friends would sit around the Hillcrest Country Club and say, there aren't any good comedians anymore. We had all the good ones, and Groucho would say, there's a young fellow named Woody Allen out of New York, and you ought to check this fellow out. And they would be grateful to him later on because Groucho had that ability to look past what they looked like or sounded like and focus on the material, and he recognized brilliance when he saw it, even if it was with a young person. So,
well, the other person who I talked with at one point was Steve Allen, and he brilliant man, absolutely brilliant. Yes. I loved him to death. And one of the things that he said, he was very disappointed in one person and very pleased with another. he tried to mentor both Letterman, and we'll talk about the rest of them when we get back on Erskine Overnight.
Okay, take a break.
And don't go postal. Erskine will be right back.
Are you looking to become more self-sufficient? Then you need to have your own energy source. The Stolar EMP hardened generator is automatic, maintenance-free, and reduces your monthly electric bill. You can also take it off-grid when you go camping. Contact PortableSolarLLC.com or call for details at 972-575-8875 today. Portable Solar LLC gives you everything you need to start using solar energy in less than 1 hour. Stolar EMP hardened solar generator energy insurance for your family or business. Call Portable Solar LLC today.
Are you happy washing your hands with harsh chemicals? Are you happy doing laundry with detergents? Are you happy paying high prices? Find your happiness with Pure Soap. These all-natural, earth-friendly Pure Soaps are the very best you've ever used. Buy in bulk. Get a 12, 36, or 48-month supply, or get items individually and still save big. You're getting soap products twice as good as what you're using now, earth-friendly and natural soaps. Your family deserves the best. Happiness is 5starsoap.com. Why not put your money up the drain for a change? See them at 5starsoap.com or call 1-800-340-7091 for a catalog. Cal Ben Soap Company can save you thousands of dollars and give you good old-fashioned real soaps that are triple concentrated. Soaps made from vegetable and coconut oils. See their full selection of soaps at 5starsoap.com. That's F-I-V-E starsoap.com. Or call 1-800-340-7091 for a catalog. Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
You are what you eat? No, not true. You are what you can absorb, because not absorbing nutrition leads to nutritional deficiency and degenerative diseases. Medication does not fix nutritional deficiencies, and North American soil is now 85% nutritionally depleted. That means your body is not getting the vitamins it needs from just grown foods. Introducing Protovite, the world's first and only full-spectrum protosomal supplement. Protovite is a proprietary liquid system that allows premium quality nutrients to positively affect the blood in an astonishing 5 minutes. That's rapid absorption. Then Protovite liquid continues to release sustained nutrition in the stomach, intestines, and colon over a prolonged period of time. See Protovite in action. Watch our amazing 2-minute live blood cell video today at TrueHealthFacts.com. That's TrueHealthFacts.com. Or call 502-410-3411. 502-410-3411. Protovite is nutrition you can feel. Protovite is nutrition that gets in.
Now that you don't have to kick Dick around anymore, you're probably like all the rest. You listen to Erskine Overnight, don't you?
We're talking with Steve Stolar, and that's his website, stevestolar.com. And also the book is called Raised Eyebrows. It is an amazing book.
Thank you very much. By the way, just for the record, my last name is Stoliar. So if people are looking to go to the website, it's Steve Stoliar, Stoliar.com. They can order a copy of the book, which I would be very happy to sign or inscribe to them. And then if they're interested in either the audiobook or the Kindle, I was going to say floor mat. I think I mean to say format. They can go.
No, we're not going to use that as a floor mat. No.
They can
and you also do concerts. You've been doing that also, haven't you?
I've done some one-man show type things where I have a very rare home video that I took of Groucho for a school project that I've had, digitally converted, and I talk about my experiences with Groucho. And I call it Remembering Groucho, and I'm available to appear and speak if people are interested in having me be their lecture guest or whatever you wish to call it. But people seem to like the combination of my first-hand stories and then this footage that's never been seen on television or YouTube or anything like that. Groucho sings some songs and I interview him. You know, who do you like in comedy today? Me. What TV shows do you watch? Mine. What about movies? Movies? Yeah, they're good. They ought to make a lot of them.
To get to your website, they can go to ErskineOvernight.com. It's hyperlinked right there.
Oh,
or just
okay.
go to Steve, Stoliar, Stoliar.com.
Right.
Now,
you kids with your newfangled links and stuff.
Oh, I know. Isn't it something? It's a mess. We've got the thing I was talking with Steve Allen about was that you had two people. One was David Letterman, whom he really admired. He thought he was great. And the other who he tried to bring along was Bill Maher. And he was very disappointed in Bill Maher. Very disappointed because of the language he used.
Yeah.
And this is something that Steve said. You don't have to use bad language to bring across comedy. This is what so many comedians are going to today. They just throw out a bad word. They throw out the F-bomb.
I know. It's like this isn't what Lenny Bruce and Richard Pryor died for, so that you could just come off like you have Tourette's syndrome as you pace back and forth on the stage, shifting your weight from one foot to the other and tossing the mic back and forth. Steve Allen was he was something of a purist about that, and he's right, because a lot of what Steve did would be categorized as silliness, but I don't see that as a negative thing. No. I mean, he did a lot of stuff with wordplay. It never had anything to do with having a double entendre of a dirty thing. It was always like, you know, if someone would say, and I was flabbergasted, and he would say, well, if you've ever had your gast flabbered, you know how painful that can be.
The other one I always thought was funny, I always used to like Ernie Kovacs, and I'm sure that when you're going back into the archives of the famous comedians, you know, even Johnny Carson went to Jack Benny, went to Groucho, and looked at what they did to hone his art, and he became one of the best of the best. And that's what a lot of people, comedians, should look at others.
Carson took Steve Allen's The Question Man and turned it into Karnak. And he's a lot more people are familiar with Karnak than they are with Steve Allen's Question Man. But he did it first. And Steve Allen was also a pioneer in terms of taking the mic and the camera into the audience and doing crazy things, or taking it out on the street
and
doing
street,
silly
which,
things.
Waters has made a whole show of, and others have made shows of, just taking it out onto the streets.
Right. Just interviewing people, or they'd put the camera on people outside, and Steve Allen would narrate what this guy, he's a murderer and he can't find his car keys. No, he wants to pick up some oranges at the farmer's market before he goes home. All good murderers want to pick up citrus fruits, and he would just go off on tangents. And a lot of the later people like Letterman would pick up on doing outrageous things like dropping watermelons off the top of 30 Rock, but of course they'd also add their own brilliance, which is how you end up with people who have staying power, because it isn't just taking from others, it's taking that and adding what you can to it, and that's and that accounts for their longevity.
Now, working with people like Dick Cavett, working with people like Woody Allen, working with people that you've worked with, some of the best, and Groucho pretty much started you on that because you saw that and you had the blend, and Groucho was in a league of his own. Now, I could see how even meeting and people like George Burns and Benny and those people, that gave you one upmanship when it came to writing that most people didn't have. So when you came to writing on Murder, She Wrote, you started writing on a number of these programs. You had an experience that you couldn't buy.
I learned a lot. That was one of the pluses of the fact that my obsession was with Groucho rather than some of the other comedians or comedy teams, was because there was so much literary stuff behind Groucho. I mean, he turned me on to the whole Algonquin Roundtable with Robert Benchley and Dorothy Parker and George Kaufman, and I loved going into his bedroom. He had floor-to-ceiling bookcases that were filled with books that these luminaries had given him, and he appreciated the fact that a young kid like me in blue jeans and tennis shoes cared about these same people that he liked, and he was encouraged by that we weren't all pot-smoking hippies that didn't know anything. And so he said,
when we get back, we'll talk about Rob Zombie.
Now don't go getting your pantyhose in a bunch. Erskine will be right back.
It's not news that people's health is declining each year. With fast food, junk food, GMOs, artificial flavoring, and more, it's obvious why our health is deteriorating. We're not supplying our body with the nutrients it needs as we should. What if I told you about a supplement that can improve your overall health simply by taking 1 teaspoon with each meal daily? And it's not a new concept. Would you take it? Dr. Reg McDaniel presents New Eden, a new formulation for nutritional support. This mixture of micronutrients returns to the modern diet vital nutrients once found in the family garden and orchard in a more agrarian society. Simply put, New Eden is a modern application of ancient nutritional traditions and knowledge of nature. The new generation global dietary supplement New Eden is now on sale. Go to wellnessquest.org or call 888-923-2664. 888-923-2664 or wellnessquest.org today for your tub of New Eden. 888-923-2664.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX or my website, danpilla.com.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business, so make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-831-0771 now. That's 800-831-0771 for your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-831-0771 to learn more. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com.
Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon you'll need a plan and place to survive. Forget bunkers. You're not a live underground gopher. You need survivalist camps, the ultimate fully functional, off-the-grid mobile survival bug-out house that's well-equipped and custom-built to outlast any other RV or trailer. Bold statement? You bet. See them now at survivalistcamps.com. That's survivalistcamps.com. Trust your family's survival to survivalistcamps.com.
Here at the retirement home, we always listen to Erskine Overnight. It's all we got to listen to.
The book, incredible book, Raised Eyebrows, My Years Inside Groucho's House. Now, the movie to be made is being made by Rob Zombie, who did the horror movies.
Right.
Now, I think Groucho would appreciate the irony that he did the horror movies, and yet he's making this. And the fact of the matter that he's switching gears, he obviously is a great filmmaker. He wants to break out and do something a little bit different. He loved this idea. It's going to be a literary masterpiece. I think it's going to be a movie masterpiece. This is Rob's chance to shine, your chance to pay a tribute to one of the people whom you love the most, Groucho Marx, loved his works. And I think it's a win-win situation.
It is. It caused a lot of people to have second and third and fourth thoughts about this, because at first glance you have this guy who looks kind of like Charles Manson, and he's got tattoos up and down his arms.
Yeah, but Groucho gave you a chance. You're giving Rob a chance.
Well, I suppose so. Although he's, doing fine without me, also as a heavy metal rock star. But what happened was I had heard that he had given an interview in a magazine where he said that his favorite book was Raised Eyebrows, which blew me away because I didn't figure a fellow like that would have even heard of it.
I know.
And we got in touch.
Don't prejudge people, Steve. Come on.
That's it. That's the lesson here. And I ended up writing an op-ed piece for the Hollywood Reporter last year, basically saying I have not taken leave of my senses, turning over my child to this crazy man. And then I listed a lot of the directors who started out in horror and ended up doing mainstream, including Robert Wise, who started out doing Curse of the Cat People and ended up winning Oscars for West Side Story and Sound of Music. So, what Rob said to me was, this is just the kind of movie I've been looking to do to get away from horror movies for a while. And he through this development process, he has been an absolute delight to work with. I mean, I had talked to other people about adapting it for film, and I could tell by the questions they were asking that we weren't even in the same book, much less on the same page.
Right.
But Rob and I have been just eerily, smoothly compatriots through this, and we hope to begin casting and pre-production at some point this year and actually breathe life into this thing. It's going to be very surreal for me to see someone playing Steve at 19, because it's not a biography of Groucho. It's my story of this kid that just wanted to meet his hero and gets dropped into this atmosphere with Erin and Groucho in his twilight years. So in a sense, it's a little like Ed Wood or Gods and Monsters or My Week with Marilyn or something like that, where it's just that it's that relationship, not the story of a famous person's life. So
even with Ed Wood, you had who? Bela Lugosi's playing in the Ed Woods, right?
Yeah,
so
you had
Rob
it wasn't the Bela Lugosi story. It was the story of this kid, Ed Wood, this young director, and Lugosi at the end. And I think Martin Landau won an Oscar for that. So
yes, Look Back in Angora was another one. I loved Ed Wood.
Oh, yeah.
So bad they were great. Steve
Glenn
Stolar,
or Glenda.
Yes, Glenn or Glenda, right. That was the one with, SteveStolar.com. You can get it by going to ErskineOvernight.com. Get a copy of Raised Eyebrows. You'll love it. And wait for the movie. It's coming.
Ladies and gentlemen, Erskine will be right back.